Welcome back to Addicted to Film. I'm Tim Gordon. This is Travis Hopson, and we're sitting here with the director of the uber mega blockbuster Godzilla.
Don't jinx it.
I'm sorry, I don't want to jinx it, but it is Gareth Edwards. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I learned that the term blockbuster actually is retrospective. Like, only when something's a hit, you call it a blockbuster.
You can't call it a blockbuster beforehand.
No.
So, judging by all of the buzz and all of the commercial appeal and all of the long lines that we've seen, we still can't call it a blockbuster?
No, not yet.
Until they count the money?
No, yeah.
Okay.
It's a tentpole. I think that's the official term. A studio tentpole.
Yeah.
You can say things like that.
Now, before Travis gets in with all of the really technical questions, I was a guy who, I'm 50 years old, so I watched Godzilla as a kid. This Godzilla you put on screen looks a lot different from that Godzilla. Talk about the transformation and what inspired you through the years watching these different variations to get to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wanted it to be Godzilla, but I think if you picked up that version that you're referring to from when you were a kid and put it right in the middle of a modern tentpole movie, it wouldn't be sophisticated enough. It wouldn't look as real as I think the audience expects. So what we said to the designers was, we want it to feel like that animal, but we need to be able to update it. So let's pretend that 60 years ago, this is an animal that really exists and it's really down there in the ocean. And 60 years ago, it appeared near Japan. Some people witnessed it. Nobody took a photograph, but they went running and screaming back to Toho Studios, who made all those guy in a suit movies. And they tried to describe it, they tried to draw it, and they went off and made all those films that we know and love. And then in this film, you're going to see what they saw for the first time, and you should be able to go, oh, yeah, look, yeah, because that's how they would have described it, that it has fins, it does all the things. But it gives us a license to try and make it a little bit more realistic and based more on nature a little bit.
That's interesting the way you put that, because I did feel like there was sort of an evolution there. You could see sort of a bit of dinosaur in there. You see a lot of different things. So that was something that you guys set out to do specifically then.
Yeah, I mean, you do this. Evolving it is actually the best way to describe the process. Is that you build it in 3D, and you have it as your kind of your base generation or whatever, and then you take that and you go, let's try stretching the head, let's try stretching the arms, or shrinking this bit, or changing the shape of this bit. And so you have all these different mutations that branch off from this one centerpiece, and then you look at them and you go, that one's, you compare them like left, that one, and you go, that one's better, and that becomes the new base, and then you mutate it again, and you keep doing this until you feel like there's nothing you'd want to change. And I thought it was going to take about a couple of weeks, and it took closer to a year until we could look at it and go, yeah, no, we're good, like nothing, don't want to keep tweaking, because it's you never, as someone who as a film director or whatever, you always, something can always be better, and this is one aspect of the film. I look at the, not necessarily, he's hidden a lot, but when you fully see him as the real thing, I'm kind of like, there's nothing I really want to change.
Now, I'm sorry, Tim. Now, I remember your first film, Monsters, which you made for like $10 or something.
It's 20 bucks.
Now, I mean, the movie, obviously, the visual effects were amazing for the amount you had to work with on that. Were you ever intimidated by sort of the scope of this? I mean, did you ever have any doubts or anything about taking on a project of this size, coming off of a movie like that?
Sure. I mean, it's a big, intimidating step to go from a low budget thing like that to this, and you're nervous. There's obviously that kind of like, oh god, here we go, kind of feeling that you get. But the amount of nerves is just a bit below how nervous I was of not doing it, of turning it down, or being that guy who's like, you look around now, all the posters and the trailers, and you think, oh, I was offered that, and I said no because I was too worried about the leap.
Right.
And it's actually very similar. The thing that surprised me is a lot of aspects about it are very similar, in that we made the previous thing I did, it was just like 5 people in a van, and it was and some actors, and we just shot it very guerrilla style. And on this, even though there's like 300 people on the crew, you actually only talk to about 5 of them. Like you talk to the assistant director, the cameraman, the actors, and people like that.
Right.
And so in the morning they drive you, and they pretty much drop you off right by the camera, and you go past all these faces, and you see them every day, and you think, I have no idea what these people do, but they're here every day. And then you chat to the assistant director and the actors, and at the end of the day, a car comes and you get driven away. And so, like, I feel really bad at, like, rap parties when everyone's celebrating, because I look around the room and I'm like, I don't know who anybody is. Like, I only know, like, 10 people.
Well, guess what? Everybody at the party knows who you are.
I guess so. I guess so. And it's not, I mean, they're all really busy doing amazing things, but I just, fortunately, because you have to stay so concentrated on the film, I speak to people who, it all branches out from the heads of department, and, you know.
You're like the mob boss that speaks to one person and he gets the message communicated to everybody else.
I know where all the bodies are buried. Yeah.
Well, Travis may have hit on it with the question, because when he talked about the scope of the film, you know, I'm trying to imagine what the conversation sounded like when your agent called up and went, they want to offer you Godzilla. What's going through your mind? Because this is a franchise or a monster that everybody knows, and now it's you responsible as the next guy who has to carry the torch for this moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those checkmate moves where you sort of, it's that Brewster's Millions things of, like, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Because you suddenly go, oh my God, that's amazing. You go, oh my God, we have to deliver. This has to be really good. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that guy who screws it up. So we all sat down on day one, and in my mind it was like I really wanted to take this seriously, do a realistic adult version of Godzilla, and I felt like that's something missing from my DVD shelf. You know, you're always looking for, like, what's the film that you kind of, people don't know they want necessarily until it turns up. And Legendary and Warner Brothers, they were exactly the same. They were like, well, yeah, absolutely. Like, in a way that I'd never compare it to this film, because, you know, these were amazing movies, but, you know, the way that Batman had ran into, like, campy territory, become a bit silly, and then, you know, with Legendary and Warner's, like, Chris Nolan obviously was responsible for, like turning it into something serious and fantastic again. There was this opportunity with Godzilla where it's a loved icon. Everybody knows Godzilla. Like, I feel like if you had pictures of famous characters from cinema, and you went around the world, and every time someone didn't recognise it, you had to throw it away. I feel like the final face-off would be between Mickey Mouse and Godzilla, or something. Like, but then no one can really point at, you know, many Godzilla movies. A lot of people are familiar with it; it's part of popular culture.
Right.
But you go, okay, well, which one is your favourite? And they're like, and they haven't really got a handle on a specific film, and so it's just this prime real estate as a filmmaker where, you know, everyone knows it, everyone wants to see it, but you get this great chance to do a serious, like, grounded version.
Talk to me a little bit about the tone, because, you know, you keep Godzilla shrouded in fog and smoke for a lot of the movie. You don't really see him, and I think there are a lot of horror elements involved in the way the film is shot as well. Talk to me about the way you came up with the tone of the film. 'Cause it's not all smash and destruction. There's a lot more of a, you know, moodier tone to it.
Yeah, I think that's probably born out of the era I grew up in that, like, as a kid, if you say, okay, to anyone my age, what's your favourite monster movies? And a lot of people would say things like either Jaws or Alien or The Thing or Jurassic Park or whatever it is. And what they all have in common is, for the first half of the film at least, you glimpse things, you hint at things, there's a sense of atmosphere and this, like, gravitational pull towards the creature, but without fully showing it, so that when you finally get to see it, it has this, like, maximum impact.
Right.
And I think in this day and age, obviously with digital technology, it's very easy to just throw everything at the screen constantly, and I think what can happen sometimes is you can hit a fatigue where it just stops having any value, and and no matter what you then do, it's not very effective. And so we wanted to go back to that style of filmmaking, to those early sort of 70s and 80s movies that really kind of tried to create a sense of anticipation.
Okay. I think we're about out of time here.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank you for taking some time out with us today. Shake Travis' hand too. That's good. See how that works? Because I didn't want you to leave Travis hanging. You guys, we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back with more of Addicted to Film.